Hello and welcome to A View for You, a twice-monthly journal about people and events of interest in the Bay Area. My name is Peter Camarda. I'll be your host for tonight. Tonight, my guest is local artist Jon Wessel, who is joining us to talk a little bit about his artwork. Thank you very much, Jon, for coming.
Thanks for inviting me.
And we have a whole bunch of stuff to show you, so we'll get right into it. You call yourself, I guess, sort of a hybrid. There's both traditional and non-traditional elements in your painting.
Yeah, I'd say that's correct. My inspiration comes from abstract expressionism. Painters like de Kooning, Franz Klein. I'm inspired by graffiti art, by graffiti abatement, by posters. City art. I would say basically I'm an urban artist.
Okay.
When I carry a camera and go around the city and take pictures of billboards, take pictures of walls, a lot of construction area, and you go around the city and you'll see, especially on plywood, construction walls people will mark and then people will plaster over with posters. There's something I really like about the sort of randomness of it. The green and against the lines. There's something very abstract and, for me, very unintentional but wonderful about it.
Almost Now is...
That's one of my paintings. Okay. Most of my titles are taken from routes or streets or something having to do with the city, an area of the city. One thing that I should really point out about my work is that I've chosen to use the back sides of posters and not the front sides of posters. A couple deliberate reasons for that. One is to sort of turn my back as sort of a statement on all the advertisement that is sort of shown in our face or put it before us. So in some ways I'm turning my back on that constant barrage of advertisement. The other thing is my fascination with things that are not supposed to be seen. You aren't supposed to look at the back sides of posters, and one is supposed to look at the front side. So there's something about that unintentional, again, and undervalued aspect of it that I find fascinating.
And then I think you told me that in a lot of your paintings you put the posters on and then you actually sand them down from the back so that only pieces of the text are revealed. So there's something a little bit mysterious about that, don't you think? Or how does that strike you?
Yeah, something gets revealed by the sanding, and I really never know what is going to be revealed. Now I get a better. What I really like about the way I work is that sometimes I'll sand and a color palette will appear that is something that I'm not used to, something that's really not in my vocabulary, so I will go with that. And
how long would a piece like this take you to do?
It really depends on the piece. Some pieces sort of just form themselves and happen quite easily. Other pieces that I think I was telling you struggle with, and you wrestle with the ground, and you have to stop and let them rest for a while, and keep working. So I imagine it happens over a period of several months.
You were telling me that when you do these paintings, very often you don't really have a meaning in mind underneath. I was very surprised to hear that. So that you just sort of are working with form and color and not really trying to transmit a message. How does that feel to you to be sort of working without a content in mind or a message?
I actually find it very liberating because you're not tied to that particular meaning. You're not trying to create a meaning out of it. I think I am so enamored and so just awed by elements of form and color and structure that it's enough for me. And I think that's, and also for me, it gets closer to a visceral response than.
So in these kinds of paintings, which have a connection to abstract expressionism, how free is the viewer to make up their own mind about what's in it? How much does the viewer read into it? Or is there, at what point does the viewer meet you aesthetically? Or is it really just an opportunity you offer to the viewer to create their own fantasy about the meaning or their own interpretation of the meaning?
I would believe it's the latter. One person will react to it differently than another. Some people need to find a meaning in your work, which is fine, and they will see things and they will ascribe all kinds of meaning. And that's not to say that maybe that's something unintentionally you didn't do. Or you did, but was unconscious.
You were unaware of it.
Unaware of it, we're correct.
In general, when you're doing the art, what is your pleasure in art or your purpose in doing art? What does it bring you?
I think it brings me a sense of purpose. It brings me a sense of being creative, which I think is purposeful. I think it connects me with the outside world. So I begin to have a dialogue with other people. In this way, I'm connecting with the city and as you pointed out, my outside environment, and maybe having a dialogue with other people as well. So I think there's a certain amount of connection that I respond to and like about it.
And I guess also you're offering people the chance to reinterpret their environment. I mean, if you can look at this art and see the links to the billboards and the graffiti, it kind of lets you go out into the world with new eyes in a way too.
I hope so. Yeah. I think for me, it makes the drive, at least the drive to work, a little more pleasurable, because there's a certain amount of aesthetics out there that really goes unseen.
Here we have put up your website, I think here. So if people want to look you up online, they can see more of your artwork. And I want to thank you again for being on the show with us.
Thank you, Peter.
We will be time.
Yeah.
You said to me, I think when I spoke to you at the studio, everyone becomes pieces of paper. The hotshots of today will become scrap paper. The famous and the not famous will meet at some point. Those are prophetic words, Jon.
I believe that. I believe that. Take 10,000 years from now. Who's going to remember Madonna?
Certainly not I.